we've spoken quite a bit about disarmament, but the whole other half of the non-proliferation treaty is just that, non-proliferation. There have been a number of regions of the world that have begun to ratify nuclear weapons-free zones. What type of progress is there? What's being done right now to expand those nuclear weapons-free zones or to solidify them?
Well, there was one that came into force last month in Central Asia, and this is the latest effort. If you look at the map now, I have a map there. I don't know if your camera can catch it just behind the flag. What you see in red there are the nuclear weapon-free zones in the world. And you can see that practically all of the southern hemisphere is free of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
What we need is for the northern hemisphere to do something about it.
I think that. So how can civil society, as this is a conference for civil society regarding the non-proliferation treaty, how can civil society affect them to behave sensibly, to follow Article 6 of the NPT and disarm, or those that have to do with non-proliferation?
Well, I think civil society has a very important part to play. That they have played a very important part historically in the efforts for disarmament. Some of the important treaties that came about were in part the fruit of pressure by civil society to their elected representatives. They have contributed in many ways, either by stimulating their representatives, their governments to act. They have also contributed with studies, with information, with work in the grassroots for creating, like a critical mass for arriving at agreements. So I am sure that they will continue. They understand their role. They are proud of their role, and they are very useful in the way they act. We have here in my office very good constant relations with most of the more significant civil groups that deal with disarmament, and we have an interaction which is very important for us, and we want to continue that.
Right. And looking forward towards the 2010 review, this is kind of a two-part question. What does the Office of Disarmament Affairs, and perhaps you personally, see as the most challenging aspect approaching the review, and then how is the office addressing that challenge?
I think that the most challenging aspect is the fact that the treaty is a unity, and you cannot approach the treaty trying to improve it, trying to strengthen it, by only looking at selectively at certain parts of the treaty. I think if the parties in 2010 realize that to strengthen the treaty they have to strengthen all its parts, I think we will be we'll have a good possibility of a successful outcome. Now, my office, of course, it is the parties, it is the states that decide. This office does not make decisions in the place of the states.
As a facilitator of communication.
What we are, yes, and we, of course, we organize the meetings, we service the meetings, we provide the forum for the meetings, we do some studies, we do whatever is necessary to help the chair, the elected officials of the conference, of the review conference, to fulfill their obligations. But we cannot substitute for the states. The results will be because the states want results.
When you're mentioning the all-encompassing nature of the treaty, what is being done, or not necessarily by just this office or just in the international community, to help bring in those states that are not party to the treaty or have removed themselves party to the non-proliferation treaty?
Well, I understand that there are ideas put forth mainly by scholars, mainly in the field of non-proliferation. The way the treaty is constructed makes it impossible for the states that are outside the treaty to join it, except as non-nuclear weapon states. They all have said that they don't contemplate that possibility. We can try to bring them in through other means, so to speak. I mean, having them accepting some steps that they could take nationally, which will encompass some of the obligations of the parties. But then again, that depends very much on those three states themselves. They are very different among themselves. There is an interesting idea which comes from the 1995 Review Conference, which is the strengthening and the creation of a nuclear weapon-free zone in the Middle East. And this is one of the possibilities that we have. I don't see that we can have such a zone immediately, but certainly we can take steps in that direction. And I think that would be very positive if we can.
Okay. And I guess lastly, when I asked what the biggest challenge was, what do you see as most promising, concrete, promising thing coming up with the 2010 review?
I don't know yet. The third PrepCom will perhaps shed some light on this. But I think from now until the conference itself, still 1 year to go, and many things may happen during this year. We have very promising statements, like those of President Obama and some others, President Medvedev, some of the nuclear countries, the Prime Minister of Britain, the President of France, and statesmen, as I said, and ex-statesmen have put forth many proposals. And I think that we need some time, especially for the new administration of the U.S., to digest some of these proposals, so that we can see what we can really do, how we can really progress in 2010. If I can say anything now, I hope, and I think it's a founded hope, that the nuclear countries will reinforce their commitment to nuclear disarmament at the conference. That the conference will mark a reinforcement, the idea of the world free of nuclear weapons. I think that would be a very welcome outcome. And the non-nuclear weapon countries, I hope that they will see that it is necessary for them to reinforce their commitments also to not acquiring nuclear weapons. And there are proposals to that effect, proposals to reinforce the systems of safeguards. And I hope that at the conference the two things can go in parallel. Steps, or at least reinforcement of commitments to disarmament together with reinforcement of non-proliferation systems.
All right. Finally, because it is a year away, but the Preparatory Committee is right around the corner, are there any things that you can share that the office and the UN in general is gearing up to kind of help make sure that everything's ready at the end of the Preparatory Committee?
Well, we have been assisting the chair of the PrepCom. We have regular contacts with him. We have been participating in informal conferences, mainly by think tanks and civil society groups that bring forth ideas, and we have been very active in that. And I think these things will be instrumental for the success of the 2010 Review Conference.
Thank you very much. I want to
Thank
you on
so
behalf of
much.
myself, UNA Scotland, and World Federation of UNAs for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us and talk a little bit about the NPT and civil society.
Thank you, and my congratulations to the World Federation of
Thank you.
United Nations Associations. Thank you.